Assalamualaikum and hi to my beloved lecturer, Madam Sharifah Fazira binti Syed Ahmad. I am Nurul Julaeka and this is the presentation for the summary of what I have learned from this subject, Organizational Behavior and Leadership. From Chapter 1, which is the introduction of organizational behavior, I have learned that to be a successful manager in any organization, it is important for managers to improve their interpersonal or people abilities. Investigating how individuals, group, and organizational structure affect behavior inside an organization and using that information to improve organizational performance. From Chapter 2, which is about attitude, behavior, personality, and value, I've learned that managers should be concerned about their workers' attitudes since they impact behavior and signal possible problems. Creating a satisfied workforce is far from a guarantee of successful organizational performance, but evidence strongly suggests that managers' efforts to improve employee attitudes will almost certainly result in positive outcomes, such as increased organizational effectiveness, higher customer satisfaction, and profits. Meanwhile, personality influences organizational behavior. It may not explain all behavior, but it provides the context. Next is Chapter 3. In this chapter, individuals base their behavior not on the actual state of their external environment, but on how they perceive or imagine it to be. Understanding how individuals make decisions can help us explain and anticipate behavior, yet few major decisions are simple or clear enough for the rational model's assumption to hold true. Individuals are seen seeking solutions that satisfies rather than optimize, introducing biases and prejudices into decision-making process and relying on intuition. Managers should foster creativity in their employees and teams to pave the way for innovative decision-making. Then in Chapter 4, understanding what motivates people is ultimately important for organizational effectiveness. Employees who are being recognized for its own uniqueness will feel respected and can work in positions that are customized to their abilities and interests that could make them to perform at their best. Moving on to Chapter 5. Teamwork requires employees cooperating with others, sharing knowledge, as well as confronting disagreements. To perform successfully, a team must pay close attention to hiring, developing, and rewarding team members. Nonetheless, great firms know that teams are not always the most efficient way to do tasks. Therefore, a careful consideration and knowledge of organizational behavior are required. Then, continued by Chapter 6, which is in this chapter, I identify a correlation between communication and employee satisfaction. When there is less uncertainty, the better the contentment. Distortions, ambiguities, and inconsistencies between verbal and non-verbal messages all contribute to confusion and diminished pleasure. It is vital for every individual to pay close attention to the techniques and modes of communication to guarantee each message is correctly perceived by the receiver. Next, for Chapter 7, because a leader is generally guides us towards our objective, it is essential for a leader to understand a particular group behavior. Thus, understanding what makes a successful leader should be useful for enhancing team performance. Strong and dependable connections between personality and leadership are shown by the Big 5 personality model. Furthermore, in Chapter 8, I've learned that there are some employees in an organization enjoy the feeling of being helpless in their professions and companies. People react differently to different power structures. Personal traits determine an individual's expert and referent authority. Caution, reward, and legal power, on the other hand, are fundamentally conferred by the organization. Competence appears to be particularly appealing, and its utilization as a power basis leads in good performance by group members. Then, in Chapter 9, I was able to identify that conflict may be destructive to the operation of a group organization. Conflict levels can be either too high or too low to be beneficial. Also, many individuals believe that disagreements reduces group and organizational effectiveness, and this is typically false. Next, for chapter 10, which is about organizational culture and values, I've learned that organizational behavior is greatly influenced by organizational cultures. We can get insight into the world of organizational life by looking at an organization's common values and beliefs, material symbols, rituals, stories, and language, even if the essence of organization is sometimes difficult to articulate. Several cultural frameworks have shown that distinct cultural values have an impact on various strategic outcomes, and that values and beliefs may have a significant impact on organizational outcomes. Finally, in chapter 11, I've learned that organizational change would have little or no relevance to managers if environments were perfectly static, if employees' skills and abilities were always up to date and incapable of deteriorating, and if tomorrow were always the same as today. However, the actual world is chaotic, forcing companies and their members to undergo dynamic change to compete. And that is the end of my presentation on the summary of what I have learned from this subject. Throughout this subject, I could understand the knowledge and benefits of organizational behavior that I can implement in my daily life and the future undertaking. That is all from me. Thank you for watching.